Good day, poker peeps. This is Sky with Smart Poker Study, and in this video, I'm going to help you use Flopzilla Pro to understand your opponent's ranges and tendencies. We're going to be using some of the cheat sheet saved ranges here. If you haven't downloaded this yet, go to the link down in the description, smartpokerstudy.com/range cheat sheet. You get a 6-page PDF, save all the ranges. It makes your hand history reviews, your hand reading exercises so much quicker, so much easier. So, utilizing Flopzilla Pro, their tendencies, both pre-flop and post-flop, can be analyzed. And you generally do this kind of work with different hands from your database, hands where maybe you think you made a mistake, you were put in a difficult spot, you want to understand the situation a little bit better. Those are perfect hands to take through Flopzilla Pro with this entire process that we are about to do, and specifically with a hand from my own database, Pocket Tens, right here. So you want to assign the first step always when it comes to using Flopzilla Pro and hand reading or hand analysis, always assign their range based on the action, the size, their position, their player type, etc. Use all the information at your disposal to put your opponent on a range. Just to kind of unclutter the screen right here, Villain 4 is the open raiser, folds, and then we decide to call with tens. So let's get all this out of here so we don't even have to think about it. There's our opponent's HUD right here. So we want to think about, or we want to assign them a pre-flop raising range. So that's the first thing when it comes to their ranges. Action. What did they do pre-flop? The second thing, look at that size. You might know your opponent, and you might know that they have different sizing tells. Maybe they make it big with their best hands, and they make it small with their weakest hands. Now, on America's Card Room, the winning poker network, 2.5 is kind of like an average open raise size. I can't really read too much into this sizing right here. At least not just yet with this opponent specifically, right? But what we can do is take a look at his raise first in percentage by position. He's in the MP right here. So if we open up the Smart HUD pop-up, in the EP he raises first in 5, MP 16%. You can see that he gets gradually more aggressive. I shouldn't say more aggressive. He gradually plays more hands as position gets later. But in the EP and MP, pretty darn tight, right? So let's give him a range roughly 16% for open raising. I see this one right here. Double clicking it, I think this makes sense. I think he could easily open raise all these hands. We could even add 1 or 2 more potentially to his range. Let's go ahead and do that. He's got a 19% range. Now here's the thing. The range that you put somebody on, it doesn't need to reflect exactly that percentage, right? This is 8 out of 49 times right here, which is a pretty decent sample size. But the key thing, you always want to ask yourself, what are they doing this with? Our opponent open raised 2.5 big blinds out of the MP. He's a loose aggressive player, capable of 3-betting. He c-bets on the flop, doesn't fold on the flop. I have a general understanding of his player type. And I think out of the MP, players can open. This is a very reasonable range. We did not include some of the weakest offsuit broadways. Ace 10 offsuit is the worst. Players love playing the suited aces, not just for their ace blocking potential, because if he has an ace, we're all less likely to have an ace as well. But the suited and the connectedness of some of these, yeah, they like potentially having a hand that can hit something strong on flops, turns, or even on the river. And then, of course, suited broadways, suited connectors, all good hands. So this is a good range to put him on right here. Now, the next thing you always want to do is look at the equity. So let's enter our hand, 10 of clubs, 10 of spades. You can see we have 61% equity as it stands. Pre-flop, just our hand versus that range. It's always ideal to look at that to develop that equity understanding. Next, you want to enter the flop cards. Ace 3-9, all clubs. Now on this flop right here, he hits top pair or better, plus the best flush draws 54% of the time. Let's think about this player's general post-flop tendencies as well. C-bet 67%, 12 out of 18, 2 out of every 3. And then also if we take a look at the pop-up, in position, whoa, 100. He c-bets 9 out of 9 times for 100% in position. So we can expect, before we call pre-flop, we can expect a c-bet 100% of the time, regardless of the board, because that's just basically his tendency, right? So you want to enter those cards. Once you do that, take a look at the equities again. Okay, our equity dropped a little bit, but 59%, still more than half of the time. If we got it all in right now, we would win 59% of the time in the long run. So we check, and he decides to c-bet as we expected him to. But look at that size, 1.8 big blinds, roughly 1/3, 1/4 pot, somewhere around there. No, not 1/4, 1/3 pot or so. Feels like a really weak bet, but at the same time, he's capable of c-betting 100%. He's probably doing this with his entire range. Pocket fours could do this just to try to bluff us off. Ace-9 two-pair could do this to try to get value out of us. A flopped flush with King-10 suited of clubs. Well, I know we have a 10 of clubs, but let's choose a different one. King-Jack suited of clubs. Yeah, he could be doing this just to try to squeak out value, start building that pot now, because he wants to ultimately double up against us if he has a great hand. So we're going to say that he's c-betting 100% of his range right here. So what you want to do is in Flopzilla Pro, once you enter the board, whatever you think he's c-betting, and we think it's 100% of the time, sweet. Turn everything on 100% right here. Now, you want to ask yourself, what are they doing this with? Once he makes the c-bet, determine what hand strengths. Turn them all on. Use stats, tendencies, history, position, sizing, etc. to kind of make a read on what he's playing this way. Turn the filter on to set that pre-flop range. We think that 100% of his pre-flop range is c-betting. We still have 59% equity versus that entire range. He has plenty of hands that crush us, but other stuff that we're ahead of. He even has some weaker flush draws that our 10 of clubs is ahead of as well. Next step, enter the turn card. Oh, we ended up calling, of course. Queen of Hearts hits right here. On the Queen of Hearts, okay. Against that pre-flop range, our equity went from 59, or maybe it was 58%. Okay, 58.5%. Went down to 45%. That's not a good card for us, but it hits his range. And the way it hits, it gives him plenty of more second pair hands. His under pairs now have trips. Yeah, it helps him and not us, because we did not improve at all with that. We end up checking. He c-bets double barrels, 5 big blinds. So he went from less than half pot to over half pot now, sending the message that he likes his hand. Another key thing right here is he c-bets 67% on the flop, but he's honest on the turn. It drops to 43%. Sure, it's only 3 out of 7 opportunities, but that drop is indicative that he double barrels when he likes his hand. Same thing when he faces c-bets. This is great. He only folds 11% on the flop, but 100% of the time on the turn, yes, a turn honest in player. So we can put a lot of strength behind this bet that he made right here. So we got to ask ourselves, what are they doing this with? And then we turn on those filters once again. Let's actually hit this button to clear all the filters. He increases bet to 5 big blinds. Can he do it with his flushes? Absolutely. When you hover over the percentage, it shows you the hands over there. King, queen, king, jack, queen, jack of clubs, 8-7, and 7-6 as well. Totally, he's making this bet there. Sets? Yeah, he wants to bet kind of big, charging our potential straight draws and flush draws to suck out on him. 2 pair hands? Totally, they can make this bet. Top pair hands. Now, I think that most of these can make this bet because, remember, he's kind of turn honest. He might check behind some of his weaker kickers. So what I would like to do is I'll turn this top pair filter on, but over here, you can see all of those top pair with an ace. Let's right click it. And now I think he would actually check behind or bet smaller with these weaker kickers. He might do it with ace-10 and ace-jack and ace-king because they have that stronger kicker. He might think his kicker plays against our, potential ace-4 and ace-5, that kind of thing. So now pocket pair less than top card. My guess is kings would probably check here. They have some showdown equity. I don't really see a necessity to set that as a C betting hand. Mid pair and worse. Nope, none of those. However, nut flush draws, absolutely. Those hands love betting. when we turn that nut flush draw on, actually some of those kings remain. Any king, pocket kings with one of the clubs, or one of them being a club, I mean to say. Maybe he can do this with second nut flush as well. Let's turn that on right here. Open-enders, probably going to check behind on the Jack 10. I don't see, with 3 to the flush on the board, he probably wants to control the pot, not make it so big when he hasn't even hit a showdown-worthy hand yet, especially given, once again, that he's turn honest, right? So once again, you want to continue using stats, tendencies, history, position, size, etc. All the information that you have on your opponent and about the situation, use that to determine what cards he's potentially barreling on. Third nut, all those jack. Well, the interesting thing about all these hands is they're all top pair. King Jack is a decent kicker. Queen Jack is a pair plus a flush draw. Pocket Jacks is a decently strong showdown-worthy hand with a Jack. I think maybe he can double barrel with all of those Jack of club hands. Great. So looking at this, I really think these are his double barreling hands at 46%. And the interesting thing is that's pretty much in line with his tendency so far. 43%, 3 out of 7 opportunities. So I really like putting his double barreling range to that 46%. Now then, given the bet size, we need 26% equity to make a break-even call. If we have greater than 20%, it's a profitable call to make. So let's compare the equity needed versus what we have. Ooh, geez, our equity is only 19%. If we got it all in right now with this call, we can expect to win only 1 out of 5 times with this hand. But we need to win 1 out of 4. Not good enough to be making the call. So I actually ended up folding. I love this fold. If I had called, I think that is a mistake given everything that we've already laid out about this opponent, their range, and how it interacts with the board. Like I said, pay attention to changing equities as the hand progresses. Find your mistakes, and that leads us to the action step. What I want you to do over the rest of this week, maybe 2 hands over the next 5 days each, maybe 4 hands or 5 hands in the next 2 days, review 10 tough spots where you had a tough decision to call or maybe to raise or to 3-bet, whatever it might be. Run each of those spots through Flopzilla, assign them a range, enter the board, narrow it through the streets. At each of their decision points, at each of their actions, ask yourself, what are they doing this with? This is poker's ultimate question. It's going to force you to take as much information into account as possible to determine what he's doing this with. Lastly, find your mistakes. Take note of your mistakes and work to not repeat them. And of course, if you want to learn even more about how to use Flopzilla Pro to turn yourself into the poker player you want to be, get the Flopzilla Pro course. Link in the description down below. Almost 4 hours of video instruction, a 19-page workbook with answers, downloads for additional studies, and then 7 bonus items with another 1¼ hours of instruction.